Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how there is still a large group of consumers that is not only paying over MSRP for cars, but they're paying over MSRP for cars that they don't have to pay over MSRP for. But before we get into this video, as always, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And then if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Let's get into it. Let's start things off by talking about some data that has been released by Edmunds.com. So a year ago, 80% of people purchasing a brand new car paid over MSRP. It's pretty crazy. And if you're wondering, the average amount paid over was about $700. But we all know the stories of people paying, $10,000 to $15,000 over MSRP for stuff like Kia Tellurides, for example. Again, the $700 is just the average. But again, 80% of buyers, that's absolutely ridiculous. Anyways, today, 36% of people are still paying over MSRP. And the thing that's funny is that although 36% of people are still paying over MSRP, the average transaction price on a brand new car is currently happening under MSRP, about $300 under MSRP. And if you're wondering how that compares to what we see historically back in 2019, we would see the average transaction of a brand new car happen at $2,600 below MSRP. So the data shows that there's still a very large majority of people, over a third, that are still paying over MSRP, and this is obviously bringing up the average amount that people pay on a vehicle, and that's what I want to talk about in today's video. So first off, this data is not exactly as transparent as it might seem on the surface, because again, it says that the average new car transaction is happening just slightly under MSRP, and so the discounts that we're having aren't as good as what they were back in 2019. But I don't think that that's exactly accurate, because again, you have 36% of buyers that are still paying over MSRP, and so those buyers that are paying over MSRP are actually increasing the average transaction price, because I can tell you there are many dealers and there are many brands where you can find discounts that are far greater than only $300 below MSRP. And so just like when we have like income averages where you'll see like the average income and it's like, well, wait, that doesn't really make sense to what the average person makes. This is similar with these discounts. And so this is a market where there are people that are in the know and there are people that are not in the know. And the people that are in the know are the ones that are paying huge amounts under MSRP, and the people that aren't in the know are those 36% of people that are still paying over MSRP. And so again, the data might say $300 below MSRP, but realistically what this looks like in the real world is you're going to have Joe Schmo paying $10,000 over MSRP, and then you're going to have Joe Schmo number 2 paying maybe $5,000, $10,000 under MSRP, and it could potentially be on the exact same vehicle. This is something that I have been trying to reiterate time and time again for the last few months, that again, there is a split in the market. There is a split based on education. There are people that are, in the know, right? They are researching the car market actively and they're paying attention to trends. And so then they know that like right now is not a time to pay over MSRP for a car because it just simply doesn't make sense. But again, that's not your typical car buyer. Most people just go in and research the type of car that they want to buy, and then once they find out a rough idea of what they want to buy, they just show up at a dealership and then they count on their master negotiating skills to get them through. And let me tell you, that's never going to work, because people that work at dealerships are literally professionals when it comes to negotiating, because that's what they do every single day. That's literally what they are paid to do. And so what you need to understand is just because car dealers are asking over MSRP online for cars, and just because people are paying over MSRP for cars, doesn't mean that you should pay over MSRP for a car, because the reality of today's market is that if you are educated and if you are patient, then you are going to be able to get a good car deal, because the supply that we're seeing, especially with brand new cars, is only increasing as time goes on. And that's the thing that I want to dive into, is this group of people that's paying over MSRP, they're not paying over MSRP for specialty rare vehicles. Yes, there is a small subset of that group that is paying over MSRP for rare vehicles, but I would say that that's less than 1% of that 36% of people paying for over MSRP. And so let me give you some real world examples that I am seeing. A good example is the Ford Raptor and Ram TRX. The Ram TRX especially, there are still some people that are paying over MSRP for Ram TRXs, and it makes absolutely no sense. You can go to any Ram dealership and order one, and you will eventually get one. Now, it does take a little bit of time for some of these orders to come in, but like there's also a ton of TRXs on the used market available for sale for significantly under original MSRP. And so again, I don't understand why anyone's paying over MSRP for TRX. And then with the Ford Raptor, again, availability is not amazing with the Ford Raptor, but it's way better than what it was before. I mean, there are a lot of dealers that are starting to have Raptors on their lot available for sale, and there are still people going out and paying over MSRP for them. And it's like, why? What are you paying over MSRP for? It's like, I get it, it's a cool truck, but at the same time, like with this market, it just doesn't make any sense anymore. And then I just want to talk about pickup trucks in general. Like availability with pickup trucks is starting to get better and better. Like not only with, you know, half-ton gas trucks, but also with heavy-duty diesel trucks. And heavy-duty diesel trucks have been pretty constrained for the last few years. And so this is like an area that I see a lot of people just getting decimated on within the next couple of years, because there are plenty of people that are paying over MSRP for, you know, GMC Sierra heavy duties and Chevy Silverado heavy duties and Rams and Fords especially. Like they're paying over MSRP for all of them. And it's like, you got to remember, this is a run-of-the-mill diesel work truck that is, you know, going to hold its value better than a gas truck, but it's still going to depreciate like normal diesel trucks do. And if you pay over MSRP for it, then you're going to lose a ton of money. I mean, we're talking, you're already going to lose tens of thousands of dollars in depreciation because of how much these diesel trucks cost and because of, you know, the normal depreciation curve they go over. And so then if you add on your over MSRP price that you pay for it, just, yeah, it's going to be astronomical, the amount of money that people are going to lose. And, you know, if we move from trucks, like there are a bunch of regular cars that dealers are still selling for over MSRP, people are paying it, and it just doesn't make any sense. Like a lot of product from Toyota and Honda is a good example. Like people are paying over MSRP for Civics and Corollas and Camrys, and, you know, I'm sure the new Accord is another one that's going to be going for over MSRP once it's available. And it's like, guys, these are run-of-the-mill commuter cars that, again, there's nothing special about them. Like there is literally even something cool like a GR Corolla or Honda Civic Type R. You got to remember, this is just a, like, again, those are like the souped up versions, but still, they're just commuter cars at the end of the day. And so it's like, why would you be paying huge premiums on cars like this? The whole reason why these cars are supposed to be appealing in the first place is because they're more affordable, and these markups make it so that they're not in the affordable price range anymore. And so, yeah, I just wanted to talk about several different cars, but the point that you need to get is that these over MSRP sales are not happening on cars that are considered specialty or that are super rare. They're happening on regular run-of-the-mill cars, and so it's just people going in, not being educated, and making a poor financial decision, in my personal opinion. Now, if people paying over MSRP for regular run-of-the-mill cars where there's decent availability wasn't enough to make you upset, the thing that really rubs salt in the wound is the fact that a lot of these transactions didn't have to happen if these people were literally willing to travel 15 to 20 minutes. I am dead serious. There are so many examples where I have gone in, talked to dealers about, you know, deals that they've been doing, and they've told me how much they've sold vehicles for. And then I'll go and look at their competitors in the region that are maybe, you know, a 20, maybe 30-minute drive from where they are, and I'll see the pricing that they have, and it's like, wait, you just sold that vehicle for $5,000 over MSRP, and your competitor that's basically down the road is basically offering that vehicle for MSRP or sometimes even under MSRP. And I'm like, why? And I asked the dealers, I'm like, wait, why did the person go and pay $5,000 over with you when they could get the same exact vehicle down the road for this amount? And they always tell me they don't know. Like, they don't have an answer. And, well, I have an answer. That person did absolutely no research. They just went, oh, I want that vehicle. It's at this dealership. Oh, I guess this is the price, and they pay it. Again, there's no research done whatsoever. And so a 20-minute drive in some cases can save people literally thousands of dollars. And speaking of dealers, car dealers have discovered that it actually makes more sense for them to post their cars for over MSRP than for MSRP or under MSRP, because if they post all their cars for over MSRP, they sell the same amount of cars and they make a lot more profit on these cars. And I know this might sound counterintuitive, because you'd think that the dealership that has the lowest price posted online is going to get the most customers. But that's not what's happening, because car markets are localized. The average consumer does not travel to purchase a car. They're just going to go to the closest new car franchise to where they live. And so if people are just going to the closest new car franchise, well, they're just going to have to deal with that situation. Again, you got to remember, the average person doesn't really research into the car buying process either. And so this basically gives the dealership a ton of leverage if they post cars for over MSRP. And I can tell you, this is a story that I've heard time and time again, because some of the dealerships that I talk with tried the discount route. Like, Like they tried discounting all their inventory. And what they found is they didn't get any more internet traffic, they didn't get any more foot traffic, and they definitely didn't sell more cars. But what they did do is make substantially less money, because they went from selling, like one dealership in particular, I can remember, they went from selling all their cars at MSRP to selling all their cars at invoice. And so like the amount of profit that they didn't make per car deal was substantially less. And they would have been okay with that if, again, they made it up in volume, but that's not what's happening. And so dealers figure, okay, we'll post all these cars for our MSRP, we're gonna sell the same amount of cars, and we'll have way more negotiating room. Because if a dealership has a car posted for, let's say, $10,000 over MSRP, well, if they have a customer that comes in and wants to negotiate, then they can meet them in the middle at $5,000 over MSRP. And again, they're still getting $5,000 over MSRP in that example. And so just know that with the current market conditions that we have, and with what I'm going to call the laziness of the average consumer, this is incentivizing dealers to not discount their inventory online and to push the consumer, if they want to actually get a good deal, to do a lot of legwork in the world of negotiating to get the price down. So if there's anything that you can take away from today's video, don't be part of that 36% of people that's paying over MSRP for a car, because again, most of these cars that are selling for over MSRP are regular run-of-the-mill cars that are mass-produced, and they are about to flood the market. I mean, they frankly already are with a lot of these vehicles. I mean, it always shocks me when I see someone go into a dealership and pay over MSRP for a car, and there's like a line of them. It's like, why didn't you try to negotiate it all? It's like the dealership literally has like 20 of these available. They can negotiate, right? They've got some inventory to get rid of. So don't be a part of that 36%. Understand that dealers have no incentive to lower the prices anytime soon, because this gives them more negotiating room, and it leads to them making more profit while selling the same amount of cars that they would normally sell. I'll see ya.